Welcome to CXO Spotlight. I'm your show host, Chirag Khanijo, founder of Flywheeler, and this show is powered by Flywheeler, where we bring you conversations with leaders who are reshaping technology and business. Today, we have three remarkable leaders with us. Preetham, who is the founder and CEO of TechFabric. We have Troy Busso, who's the Chief Technology Officer of TechFabric. And we also have here John Below, who is the Chief Product Officer and CMO for TechFabric. Welcome to the show. How are you all doing today?
Doing good, Chirag. How are you?
I'm doing good as well. Well, let's get started with this discussion. First, Preetham, for you, tell us what gap drove you to start TechFabric and a little bit about what it does as well.
Yeah, sure, Chirag. I was always passionate about software development ever since I was a kid. We started working for these big companies, US Airways and American Airlines and companies like Intuit for a very long time. What I felt was like big companies give you great opportunity to work. They provide stable environment. But, when you're really passionate about technology and you see what's out there, it feels like your hands are tied because they want to keep their business up and running. They don't necessarily venture into trying the latest and greatest stuff. There's a bell curve. They adopt technologies when we're already widespread. So I had this itch, and while I was working there, I would do side projects to learn new technologies. So around 2010, 11, the cloud computing was taking off, and I was getting super excited about it. Saw no opportunities of leveraging that at a company that I was working for. And that's where I felt, hey, there's a whole bunch of companies that can't afford to buy their own data centers, buy their own servers, that could get immediate benefit of leveraging cloud technology. And then I started my company with my friend. We started doing projects and we got remarkable success. We used to do small projects here and there. And one day, one of the big companies reached out and says, hey, we've heard about you through a reference and we would like to come and visit your office. Guess what? We were working out of our bedrooms. We didn't have an office. So I requested one of my friends, hey, can I borrow your office for a day? And that's what led to our first big enterprise client. And turned out that client was there with us for 5 years. And since then, it's been a roller coaster ride, always bringing latest and greatest stuff.
Oh, that's phenomenal. My favorite stories are where you have the scrappiness to it, because those are the real ones, that how you get there. I have a question for Troy. When you look at, as a chief technology officer, for a company like TechFabric, providing platform solutions with data AI and product development, it's not easy because now there's so many influx of AI. And early days, when you started this thing, what kind of pivots you had to make sure that you have the right offering when you talk to a customer and TechFabric is the right partner?
Yeah, I think it's a balance between what TechFabric's core is and being true to that, in addition to weighing that against what the core of the client is. And so sometimes there are great companies that you would love to work with, but the technology is just too misaligned. There have been times where we've made the decision to work with a specific company where the stacks are a little bit misaligned, but the company or the product or the vision of what they had, we really believed in. We could be uniquely suited to help them succeed. But at the end of the day, we want really high level principal engineers who are very skilled in specific technologies so that we can deploy them to provide maximum value for our customers.
Very interesting. When you say that, it makes me think that you put the right company in place with the right mindset and the ethos of it. And then Troy, you developed a great strategy on how would you tackle that based on the right fit customer for you and put the team together for that. My question is for you, John, when you think of it from two perspectives. One is CMO, which is the outside in perspective, how people view TechFabric as. Another one is at head of product. You have to think of what makes you different. Is that a framework that you use? Is that a strategy you use? Are there any solution or platforms that you should design that makes TechFabric a unique partner for some of the organizations which are building the next wave of platforms for them?
It's a constant challenge with us, right? But I think one of our key differentiators is that we really partner with our clients. A lot of companies say that, right? But we put our money where our mouth is. So we are their trusted advisors. We are there with them every minute. So when we're working product, we're not collecting requirements. we are going in and working with those companies and their departments and the leaders of those departments to actually define and lead them through that process. So to Troy's point of customer fit and profile, that's another dimension of it. Is this an area that we can service the technology in? Is this an area that we can truly service the product in, right? But one of our other differentiators is really that trusted advisor, because when we're working with a client, and that's part of my role, right? Why does my role include marketing? It's not a typical split for a product owner, right? But because marketing is the outside in, marketing is how are users engaged? How do we message to them? How do we entrance them? So that is a huge part of user experience. So when we're working with our clients, we tendril out into all of those areas. Not what normal tech companies do, but it's part of our expertise and passion. Once we understand what a product is and who that audience is and who it's built for, we gun 1,000% for that, right? So as Preetham said, we're not just going to stop at a base requirement, right? We're truly going to help them innovate that experience to entrance their audience, not just, hey, here's another feature we can deliver.
I will take that back to Troy for a second, because I think it's very interesting what you just said, that you're building a product for a customer and that enterprise will give it to their business, which will end up in the end user's hand, right? So in a way, it's completely inside out process. Do you think it helps that when you're building this strategy, spending more time with their customers or their business users so that you know what the product story is going to be at the end, and that helps you design a better product? Have you seen that thought process make a difference, or is there any particular strategy that you guys use which is different?
I don't know how you build software without kind of taking a jobs to be done, but creating truly valuable products at the end of the day only comes from understanding the customer need and the business value. So much time, I think, is spent on the functional requirements of software as opposed to the value creation side of it and the revenue generating side of it. And so I was a multi-time customer of TechFabric before I joined as CTO. Preetham and I had met on another project, and I was always blown away with their approach. It rarely started with just what are the technical requirements. I mean, there was some of that in the initial discussions, but it was really about what are your customers trying to accomplish? What is the business value that you're trying to unlock in this piece of software? And I have worked with large development houses where it's just all nuts and bolts. It's all technical. It's impossible to get them to think about the business value. I think most often that comes down to like billable hours.
So a bit of a story directly on that question on what Troy was describing. So we have a large enterprise financial insurance provider client. They were coming off of a failed market fit. They had released a product. It was about $1 million that they had put into it, and it was a utter disaster. So they pulled it back from the market. So they allowed us to really infiltrate their teams, turn that process around, work with their clients, and even with their clients' clients. They loved it much, that they have now introduced that to the company wide as their entire process. But why does this matter? Why it matters is because just from the MVP of the relaunch of that, we were able to do double the order volume. We were able to get 50% efficiency, and we were able to claw back 9 accounts that had been lost to competitors just based on the right. So the reason that's happening though is because of what Troy described, is that depth of working with the customer. It's not just about getting ultimately a better product. It's about literally hitting the ground in that customer sweet spot with the first launch.
Wow. What a story. It's amazing. At the same time, as much as these stories are phenomenal because you're in a great position and have a great team now, I think a lot of growth stage, early stage companies, which are trying to establish company like yours, like TechFabric, really want to know that how did you get through the early day challenges in building trust? Can you share some stories, some battle scars you had in the early days, Preetham, if you would?
Yeah, absolutely. One way to build trust is relentless pursuit of excellence, right? The first set of customers that we got were small to medium-sized enterprises. We got through primarily references. I used to attend local meetups, and that's how I met someone, and that led to a couple of projects, right? Ultimately, that was our starting point. Like we had to learn a lot of things along the way, because we were just like a bunch of engineers. We have no idea of business. Like we would say something to customer, thinking that, hey, the point is taken across, but we have to learn it the hard way. And when we did that, the customers recognized it. And when people went from one company to another, they bought us in. Like we were really interested in solving the business problems, not just billing on time and materials.
As you say that in the building the experience with the similar size customer as yours before earning a right to do a large enterprise implementation, now you have arrived. But a simple question for you, Troy, would be that as a chief technology officer, the fastest changing thing out there is technology. You have so many platforms, so many options. You have Microsoft, AWS, Snowflake, TechFabric, so many things changing every day and coming up with new things. And you are vendor agnostic. You could pick and choose any technology you want because customer is giving their trust to you. What's your thought process on making the right picks for the customer? How do you decide that?
I mean, ultimately, it's a conversation, but once you start filtering things down by what's available, what the real problem they're trying to solve is, things do change rapidly, but it's really not all that complex, to be honest. So there may be on its surface 10 different products that really fit, a broad spectrum of challenges. The more we understand our customers' true needs, you can narrow it down to one or two true solutions that will meet there. Take like AI bundles in general, ChatGPT versus Claude, for instance. In some cases, there's a vast difference. Programming copilots and things like that, there is a discernible difference. Things like text extraction or story generation, they're pretty much one size fits all for the most part. I think, our experience is bearing out.
Awesome. Yeah. Now, John, I think of it from this perspective that you have picked the right customer to help, or the right customer has picked you, TechFabric, as a partner to help. And you're making the right technology decision. Troy just explained how, that what's the right fit approach for them, right? Now, from a product perspective, you've seen this whole spectrum of project management to product development to platform, right? In this whole journey, we're at an inflection point where we can't have a conversation for 15 minutes without saying AI. And you have this great perspective of chief marketing officer and head of product. From both the perspective, do you have any bold prediction for AI for 2025? Where is it going and how you are tackling it?
I always hesitate a little bit on bold predictions around AI because it's shifting and changing fast, right? But without a doubt, what we are seeing is tremendous efficiency gains. Many companies have data challenges to get through prior to being able to. So adoption is still going to be in front of us for quite a while on AI. But from my perspective, if just to pick one area, customer experience, that's the piece of the iceberg that's going to always be visible above the water. That is the area that is so ready for disruption. I mean, we still live in a lightly connected universe. Yeah, our phones make us feel like it's all there, but in reality, every side, media, data, all of these are growing to an exponential level. Without AI and recommendation engines and pieces like that, consumers are never going to be able to navigate the depth of these playing fields, right? So that piece is just going to become more and more integral.
And it looks like AI agents are a thing. There's a lot of excitement, enthusiasm with what AI agents can do, but there are also a lot of misconceptions, right? So the way I see it, agents are going to be all over the enterprises in the next 2 to 3 years, doing all kinds of small stuff, but there's still a lot of other work that humans can do and should do and will do.
That reminds me, recently I was reading about how Satya Nadella and people like Dharmesh Shah mentioned that how this may be the end of SaaS as AI agents take over the whole layer. Everything left to do is orchestration, but it creates a fear in the mind of a lot of CIOs, a lot of CTOs who are working for these large enterprises, have huge amount of funds invested in application layer, data layer, and creating the whole engines and big enterprise systems. Troy, what would you tell them how to separate real from hype so that it's not the fear of missing out whole time? How would you want them to think and thought whole noise from the real thing?
Yeah. I mean, life has changed is the reality. It's not that AI is by any stretch driving those other things, but I think we are in a time right now of just transformative upheaval across basically every aspect of life and business, especially. And you're either going to grip it with both hands, go on the ride with it, and figure out where your organization needs to transform, where you personally needs to transform. Whether it is hype or not remains to be seen. Having said that, I think if you're not embracing change right now, you're in.
Change is constant. If you think about it, this is almost inevitable, right? Especially if you look at it from the software industry perspective, advancement in software is always a layer of abstraction over the previous generation, right? We could definitely get a lot of productivity using these AI tools. It's very exciting to see AI agents accomplishing business processes, business tasks.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. If you think about the people who are building AI from AI, after all, AI will need to be deployed and built for someone. So it's not like they're taking away the AI developer. It's
Yeah.
just making a developer which is going to work on AI, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people have been saying that AI will not take your job. Somebody who knows how to use AI might do. So it's good to adopt and learn that and embrace that. I guess that's what Troy was saying, that it's the time to embrace change rather than running away from it. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
So here's
it's truly sort of going back to Steve Jobs' quote about, the computer is a bicycle for the mind, and AI is basically a bicycle for the developer if you embrace it. It allows you to me, it's not like you finish your day by 10 a.m. It's that you can do so much more in your day. And that's true of, whether you're in marketing or customer service or finance or whatever it is. If you're not leveraging the tools that are being given to you right now to do more in a day, then it's leaving so much value on the table.
one of the most fascinating thing I heard recently was from CES. Just a couple of days back, the founder of NVIDIA, Jensen, was saying that the future of AI developers would become, or the IT team of any company would become like the HR department of
HR.
AI.
Yeah.
They will choose which AI agent and they will hire the AI agent based on their choice. Then they'll train them and they'll say, this is what you got to do. They will give them context and their own company data. And then they'll evaluate its performance. And eventually they will appraise them whether they did a good job or not. And then they'll alternatively promote them to do more tasks like an AI agent. So they will eventually become like a HR department of the AI, which is a phenomenal example. If you think about it, that's very, very possible in near future.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's easy to simplify things down into sci-fi example. Let me just share a quick anecdote here. My proudest moment as a product developer, let's say, I had a company called Athlinks that is now a customer of TechFabric. I've written millions of lines of code. I've created tons of software products in my career. And I was standing at a triathlon one time. And if you've never done a triathlon, basically you store your bike and your shoes, your helmet, everything in transition, these corrals essentially, that they close about a half hour before the race starts. And so triathlon is swim, bike, run. Everybody starts with the swim. So everybody's in their swimsuits, barefoot, etc. Well, before the race starts, there's a long line standing in front of the porta potties at the race. One after the other, I'm watching women especially cringe as they have to walk into a porta potty barefoot. I had this idea that then the next week I went and bought the little foam flip-flops that they use for pedicures. And I bought a rubber stamp with the Athlinks logo. And I stamped like 1,000 of these pedicure flip-flops and I took them to a triathlon the next weekend. And I laid them out on a table in front of the Porta-John. And the look of elation in people's faces, they were able to slip these things on and throw them in the garbage can when they were done. That's something, I don't know how you replace that aha moment that I had personally, just watching that moment. It had nothing to do with software or anything, right? But there is a level of ingenuity that we may be proven wrong and the best ideas ever are coming from AIs in 10 years from now. But I think that it's going to be very difficult to replace the human mind.
I 100% agree. And the question is for you, John, next, because this is the problem. When everybody says I'm AI powered and everybody's differentiation is AI, then there is no differentiation. Then the differentiation left is human beings and a story like just Troy told. And the differentiation is your thought leadership or how you think, right? Your authentic thought leadership. The stories that you guys just told right now are the ones that make you different than just that TechFabric delivers AI-powered solutions. Because 100 more companies are claiming today they deliver AI-powered solution. So as a chief marketing officer, how do you think this authentic thought leadership and having storytelling helps you stand out a little bit better?
Yeah, I mean, I think in all honesty, it all comes back for me a lot to the actual use cases, right? So yes, you could talk about AI, you can say all these things, but how are you leveraging it? How are you actually solving these problems and what are the outcomes and results, right? And that takes a lot of human interaction. And I was watching Neil deGrasse Tyson the other day talk about that, how, AI and robots can do the most complex things that are so complex for humans they can do, but the things that are easy for us, they struggle with, So just the ability to look up out a window and interpret everything you're seeing, and have thoughts about what's occurring, that is incredibly challenging for a robot or AI, right? So that's going to be there. But listen, we're in that moment, like everything, every new tech that comes out, everybody over promotes it in the hopes that they can outshine their competitor by a half a step. And I think we're watching that hit kind of critical mass with AI and going to not everybody can be that way, and they're overhyping it, right? And so it is tough to differentiate that market. But the people that race to shout that voice the loudest are often going to crumble under the weight of the issues that follow in the next wave, which is exactly what we just saw, right? We all have AI. But now that you all have AI and AI's rep just dropped by 50% because of accuracy issues, you're shouting your own flaws from the rooftop. So maybe you should hang out a moment and actually perfect things before trying to just promote them, right? So, but at the end of the day, smart humans making smart decisions, innovators like Preetham and Troy, right? They're going to help make that difference at TechFabric in this AI revolution. That's going to be a lot of the big differentiator is how we leverage it, not just that we can leverage it. And yeah, I will admit, we have a few customers that, they're promoting their ML models as AI models, even as we speak, but that's just the market that we're in right now.
Yeah, but one thing I'd caution against with all of that is, part of hype is optimism. Like optimism is an exceptionally powerful tool. I would caution against being negative on the overhyping of AI. I think the potential of AI is ridiculous. It's something we've never seen before, right? I mean, it is truly and, I was looking through a bunch of stuff at CES over the last couple of days. And like for the first time, a lot of these like concept cars and products that are coming out no longer feel like sci-fi. It like kind of feels like we're beginning at the precipice of this Jetsons type of model here. And so part of this hyping of AI is a level of optimism that I think we need right now. Let's say it's half as good as we think it's going to be. Well, that's still pretty damn good, and truly transformative.
That is true.
Yeah,
that is true.
Just this, and I think to Troy's point too, he's absolutely right. And we do need that optimism. I think we have seen quite a few companies kind of try to piggyback or ride that wave when they're really not delivering, right? But I think if we also look just something that we use every day, like a Netflix, right? Why did Netflix rise so fast, right? Higher quality content, applying technology in a better way, right? Better recommendations engines, right? Just simple things like that. And when you combine that with better content and that, you achieve and you kind of rise to the top, and then you deliver on that you've been promoting. So I think we do see examples out there, of it's really a lot about how it gets applied. And a lot of times the people that lead that charge, the others have trouble catching them. Why isn't Prime's engine as good as Netflix, right? That's Netflix proprietary folks, right? Figuring that stuff out.
Yeah, it's the best of the times we live in. It's becoming reality right in front of our eyes. So it is fascinating. Preetham, any final thoughts on where TechFabric is headed? Are there new exciting things coming up that you'd like to talk about?
Like I said, we're always evaluating, we're always at the forefront of technologies. So as we go into 2025 and beyond, we have a research division within TechFabric that's evaluating all these tools and technologies and capabilities of AI and everything. We are very well prepared to serve our customers with these capabilities. We created partnerships with companies like Temporo and Databricks. Databricks is one of the largest data intelligence platforms. So we're actively investing in training our people, getting them certified and augmenting their capabilities with building these AI agents. So I'm super excited about what we can bring to the table for our customers. Troy, what about you?
Yeah, I think that was perfectly said. I'm excited to see the growth of TechFabric. I'm excited to see the diversity of customers that we've got coming in. One of the things that we do when we evaluate, especially a startup or a smaller company, is like that potential, It's not just billable hours. It's can we be part of transforming an industry, being part of a truly great and exceptional company and piece of technology. That's really kind of the lens that we look at things through.
Awesome. Any final thoughts, John, for you?
Yeah, I think I'll just add that we're in another one of those exciting periods for development companies, not just because the layers of innovation, but there's a divide between we're going back to an era where our customers don't know what we know. right? Whereas in the last years, I think most folks have caught up and have learned even the inner workings of technology and tech stacks and all those kinds of things. Even your average customer knows a bit about that. But with AI and product, you always need some sort of wow factor. That's a reality of product, right? Even though it's all business logic in this, but you need to wow end users. And our ability now to bring things like AI into the picture to add some of that wow factor where our customers truly don't know that that even exists or that we can apply that to their systems. It's a pretty fun time to be a product owner because of that and the ability to deliver that.
Awesome. Wonderful. Stay tuned for more conversations with leaders reshaping technology and business on CXO Spotlight.
To catch more such interesting conversations, subscribe to our channel on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music.